Watch this full series at the links in the description below and subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch new mental health videos every week. I read the comments on all of our videos, and some viewers have left feedback that maybe I have narcissistic personality disorder. Well, we're about to find out in this simulated therapy session with Dr. Ramani. It's all you now. I'm gonna answer questions.
So Kyle, as we think about the pattern of narcissism in you, the place I'm gonna start is your relationships, okay? Can you tell me, are you dating anyone right now?
No.
You're not, okay, so we don't have that. But if you think about your last relationship, how was that emotionally? Was that an emotionally fulfilling relationship?
It was, but I'm not a very emotional person.
What do you mean by that?
It doesn't take a lot for me to feel like I'm emotionally filled up.
So you almost get overwhelmed by emotion.
Yes, like if somebody's just like, oh, I love you, or you're so, I'm like, oh my gosh, like have your own deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of pushback, has anyone ever experienced that as something hurtful?
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Like everybody I've ever dated is like, I wish you would just like show me you care. I'm like, I'm trying.
You're trying.
Yeah.
So you actually do try.
Oh, I try as best as I can. And I remember one conversation with an ex, I said, my ex said, I really need you to be more emotionally available. I need you to hold my hand and touch me and all these things. And I said, I've tried as hard as I can, and this is as much as you will ever get because I cannot give more than this. And if that's not enough for you, then that's a decision you're gonna have to make. Which I know now, going through therapy, that was the wrong thing to do. I'm putting all the pressure on them to make the decision, but that is what happened.
Are you different in that sort of emotional space with your friends when you compare that to your partners?
No, I think it's all, like, I don't do well with the, like, I like compliments, but I don't like, hey, I want to tell you that I love you. I'm like, oh my God, like, okay, thank you. I love you too, but do we really need to like talk about it?
Ah, all right. So what do you do when, or how do you react or feel when somebody's really sharing with you their own heavy emotional issue?
Well, I do feel like I'm a very good listener, and I really try my best not to offer advice unless it's asked for, and I feel like I'm very comforting, and I will share personal stories if they relate and if I feel like it's appropriate, because when I've brought personal things up to people, and I feel like they immediately start talking about their experience, I get annoyed. I'm like, oh, my mom died when I was 16, and they're just like, oh, my mom died when I was 20, and da da da. I'm like, oh, this isn't about you right now. You know? So like,
all right.
I try to make sure that I keep it about them and only share things that I think are relevant. And we've been talking about narcissism, but I would say I am empathetic and I am sympathetic.
Okay.
Now, my caveat to that is if you broke up with your boyfriend 2 years ago, and this is the 53rd time you've needed to get on the phone to talk about the breakup, I'm not going to be empathetic or sympathetic anymore. Get over it.
So
it's been 2 years.
It's a limited,
it is
time-limited resources for you.
Yeah, because, sweetheart, let's keep it moving. Come on. Yeah.
All right. I mean, that could hurt someone's feelings, though.
Yeah, it could.
And then that's, that where that 53rd time to you may feel excessive. Sometimes people need to talk about it 153 times before they finally let it go.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're able to get into understand where another person's coming from?
Yes.
Emotionally? You do?
Yeah, I almost always understand where somebody's coming from. Yeah, there may be a few times where I go, I really don't understand how you could feel that way. But almost always I understand where they're coming from.
But other people have called you out. Have other people have said that to you, that you're not being empathic, that's missing right now?
Not that I'm being not empathic or unsympathetic. Mostly that I'm not emotional enough.
Okay, got it. All right. So you said you like to get compliments. Something you just said. How important are those compliments to you?
Well, today they are not as important as they were probably 5 years ago.
Okay, and what changed?
I'll be very transparent on what changed. I was online getting cyberbullied to the point of exhaustion. And I don't mean cyberbully like, you're dumb. I mean like, kill yourself, we're gonna find you, I hope you get AIDS and die, like the worst possible. And it was just monotonous because the internet can be a terrible place. And I had a conversation with a friend, and she mentioned something like, well, those words don't mean anything. That's just a random person's opinion that you don't know. And they're not even basing it on anything. They're just trying to be mean.
Well, it's their own rage, yeah.
And I understood that, but then at the same token, I thought, then if somebody says something really nice to me, I also can't give that weight.
In those spaces, yeah.
Because if it's a random person on the internet who says, you're the best, it's like, well, you don't even know who I am.
Right.
I could be the worst, right? You don't know.
Yeah.
So it was that point where I started to take opinions a little more logically, where I'm like, that's a nice thing to hear, but I'm not going to put a lot of weight on it, because if I do that, I immediately have to put weight on somebody saying I should kill myself.
I mean, that's very circumspect. A lot of people aren't that wise. You know, that they, in fact,
Thanks for the compliment.
Or they'll just only focus on the one or the other, but to realize that both, especially when they're from sources where you don't know the people, are actually equally sort of irrelevant, because
but
you
when
don't know who
one
they are.
interview we did, you said, Kyle, you are such a good interviewer. And I was like, oh, that means so much, because I've interviewed you. We've worked together.
That's true. Now, what if I don't do that? What if you go through a whole busy day doing whatever it is you're doing, and not once that day you get any recognition, validation, no one says anything to you. Everyone's caught up in their own stuff, and then you go home at the end of the day.
I think I would be fine.
You think it'd be okay?
Yeah, I mean, that happens, and I'm fine with it.
Right, so it's not like the world falls apart. No. Do you use social media?
Yeah.
And does it matter to you?
It matters to me from, I'll be very, let's just be really honest in these mock therapy sessions. It matters to me from a career level.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if I wasn't having a career in front of the camera, might not even be on social media.
All right, well then that's important to know, because it is a tool, and increasingly it's become an essential tool, even if you want to say I'm above all the social media stuff.
I don't even mean I'm above, it's just not something that evokes a lot of joy.
Yeah, it doesn't bring you joy, and it's not how you want to spend your time. You're right. It's not how you'd want to spend your time. Okay, but you like compliments. You particularly like compliments if they came from someone who can offer it in a meaningful way because they've actually observed you doing it, but they don't feel like a necessity.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this. When you think about what you hope, I know you're not in a relationship now, but I imagine that someday you hope to be in a long-term relationship. When you think about what you want that relationship to look, what are your thoughts?
Well, the thing I love most out of any relationship is the ability to be honest and transparent without fear of getting lashed at, because I'm always honest and transparent, or even if the consequence is aversive. And I want that quality in my partner. I want them to be honest. I never want to guess what you're thinking. I don't want to be like, oh no, I'm fine if you go out. Don't worry, I'll just stay here by myself. And I go, you're clearly lying. I don't like to play that game. And then someone who is independent. I don't want to complete somebody. I don't want to make somebody happy. I want them to be happy and complete as they are, just as I feel I'm happy, complete as I am. And I'm not looking for anybody to complete me. I'm just looking for someone to enjoy life with.
Okay, all right. So it's a healthy conceptualization of what a relationship is then. What are your measures of success?
That's such a good question. And I've thought about that a lot, yet I don't know if I have a concise answer, but I'll do my best, which is, I think being successful is having the freedom to do what you want to do and have it feel like it's the thing that you should be doing. So I don't just do this because I get paid for it. I do this because I enjoy being on this side of the camera. And I do this because I enjoy reaching everybody else on the other side of the camera. I also enjoy that we're talking about mental health and not what Halloween candy is going to be big this year, which to me isn't as big of a deal. Like, I love that what we're doing is impactful and influential. And I think if people can find themselves in a scenario like that, where they're doing what they want to do, they have the freedom to do it, and it feels like what they should be doing. Because I would want to also, run a sushi restaurant, but I don't think that's what I should be doing. So this also feels like what I should be doing. So I think when you have both of those together, that is successful. And so I don't think money is an indicator of success by itself, but we obviously use money as an indication of how well a company does, or what kind of lifestyle you can provide, or whatever. Yeah, right, exactly. And I don't even know if happiness is an indicator of success, because I think there's something deeper than that. Not to get too philosophical.
But for you, it's really doing what you love.
Yes.
And having the freedom to do what you love. For some people, that's not possible because it may not pay, kind of thing. So that's how you would consider success. Do you feel that you apply that definition to other people?
I don't know what you mean by that.
So in other words, when you meet a person, we judge people when we meet them on the basis of success, whether we mean to or not. And at the most extreme, if we saw somebody who was sort of, I don't know, disheveled in the street and didn't seem like they were doing very well, we might not judge them as successful. And if we saw someone stepping out of an incredibly expensive car and going to an incredibly expensive restaurant, have a rather well-appointed home, we might view them as successful. When you think about other people, how would you just judge success in them?
Well, I would have to know somebody, I feel like, before I could do that.
Okay.
If I saw somebody get out of a $300,000 car in front of a 5-star hotel, I'd be like, whoa, good job. You made some good choices, And then if I saw somebody in rags on the side of the street, I would go, oh my gosh, I hope they're okay and they're not freezing to death or whatever. I don't know if I would say, so in that scenario, yeah, the person who's walking into the hotel out of a car is more successful than the person on the street who's homeless. But, I don't know. Does that answer your question?
It does. I mean, again, one may not be that person who got out of the fancy car necessarily made better choices.
They made financial choices that were beneficial for them. Yeah.
All right.
And I always said I would date, people ask me, like, would you ever date someone who made like $20,000 a year? I go, if they were the best at that thing.
Okay. Like what if they weren't the best at that thing?
Well, then they better be trying real hard to get, because I don't want someone who's just like coasting. Who's like, whatever. Like if they go, I really love making tables and I only make 20 grand a year making them, I'd be like, then you're, at least you're making them.
Okay. All right. You're in an interesting profession, Kyle. You're a public person. Okay. And when you're a public person, people know who you are. Right, and that can have some risks. It might give people carte blanche to criticize you, but it also has benefits. If you're recognized, you might get a special benefit of some kind, whatever form it takes. Does that matter to you?
Does it matter if I get a special benefit?
Yeah. No. I mean, again, I'm saying that you're a public person. Do you expect it?
No.
No.
But let's be real. I'm public compared to like somebody who maybe works in a restaurant, but not Ryan Seacrest. And
I mean, MedCircle videos get a lot of views.
That's true. I don't expect any of that, and I don't think I would ever expect.
Do you covet it? Having that ability to, people parting the seas for you. Here comes Kyle.
No, that would feel uncomfortable.
Okay. All right. So that kind of attention on you.
Yeah, and especially now that I'm thinking about it, especially if it was only because they saw a MedCircle video.
Right. Well,
like if I went to a restaurant and they were like, we have a table right up here, and I was like, oh, cool, thank you. I would feel special because they just did it.
It just happened to happen. Okay.
Yeah, but if they were like, because you're from MedCircle, we gave you this table, I'd be like, why? Because I did a job.
Right.
Because I did everyone did. So the producer doesn't get a table because she just worked as hard as everybody else, but she doesn't get one because she didn't ask questions on a couch. That's silly.
Okay. All right. So how do you deal with frustration?
Sometimes I go eat fast food. Sometimes I take a nap. Sometimes I have a fake conversation with myself or the person that I'm frustrated with and just get it all out like that. But I try to, if I feel frustration coming on, I'm pretty good about getting under control before it's out of control.
Has rage ever been a problem for you?
No.
Let's say you were talking about, I'm always interested to hear how people deal with, one of the most frustrating things we could do is deal with customer service calls, right? You're on hold for a long time, then the person answers. It's clear that they're probably answering, you're one of a million calls, and they might even be working for 20 companies that day, and you can't get to the person who can answer the question, and they keep, clearly they're reading from a script. You get frustrated.
Totally.
How would you deal with a call like that?
Okay, well, I'll tell you very honestly, today I would deal with a call like that. I would be frustrated, but I would deal with it in what I think is the most efficient way to a solution for whatever the reason I'm calling. Now, 10 years ago, it would have not been that way. I would have been irate, screaming, yelling. I mean, just so my anger, right, would not equal what was actually happening.
What caused the change?
Because I realized it was, I was losing.
Okay.
I was losing.
All right.
I still didn't get my cable bill paid, and now I'm angry and all worked up for a stupid reason. And I knew this would go on for as long as I was alive, so I might as well make these things not angry. Today, I had to call a roofing company, and they had not called me back. They had not emailed. They said they were going to do this and this and this, and they did none of those things. And normally, 10 years ago, I would have told them what was up. Today, I said, guys, this is what's happened. I don't know why you're promising one thing but not delivering, but can you please X, Y, Z, and they, you know, and that just makes everything better.
Okay. When you overall think about how you feel about your life right now, how do you feel about like where you're at in life?
Well, I was just thinking about this yesterday. I don't think this is the most overall content and happy that I've ever been in my life, ever. And that includes the time I had my first dream job of working with animals, when I thought, oh man, it doesn't get better than this. This is it for me. It was my childhood dream to work with animals. I got to do it. But now I look at life in 5 pillars, and friends, family, finances, career, which are different, and health. And all of those are so good right now that I think this is the best it's ever been. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna put a sort of hypothetical to you.
Great.
Okay, things are good.
Yeah.
Anyone's able to be doing well when things in those realms are good. To be honest with you, now not all. So I will say some people, even with all those things good, they still find something to harp at, but most would. Tomorrow, MedCircle lets you go.
Yeah.
Okay, you get fired. Like, hey, we found someone else to do your job. Yeah. You're not, and you love this job. You made it very clear you love what you get to do here. Love the people you work with. How would you cope with something like that?
I would honestly just throw myself back into the other in front of camera projects that I'm not doing because I'm doing this.
All right. How would you feel about yourself?
If I'll just add to your hypothetical, if they fired me because the company was like, we just don't want.
We want a woman now. We've had all these great interviews. You're a guy. We want a woman. So it's not you. Like you could not morph into a woman. So you couldn't do. So
but even though I can't morph into a woman, that would be devastating.
Oh, it would. Okay.
Yeah, I would be really upset. Yeah.
Why?
Well, because I'm losing like my thing. I'm losing a really important thing in my life. Yeah. And I don't want to lose it for any reason. Yeah, so that would hurt a lot.
Would you be able to let go of it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, and I would watch like the next 2 videos and then critique everything she did and be like, that's not good, that's not good. And then I would stop watching the videos because it would just be too hurtful. And then I would just move on with my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you handle criticism?
I'd say 90% of the time, incredibly well.
What about the other 10%?
Terrible.
Why? What differentiates the 90%?
Normally the source.
The source.
Yeah.
What kind of source can be that part of that 10% which throws you off your
A
game?
source that would have no reason to critique the subject that we're talking about. It's like,
I see.
I was an animal behaviorist for 15 years. So you're a first-time dog owner and you want to sit me down and talk about how to potty train your dog? I'm not going to take those critiques very well because I just don't think they know.
Okay. Right.
But if you're going to critique me on mental health, I'm going to be all in, right? If the director critiques me on my hosting performance, I'm like, yeah, I need to listen to that. Yeah.
Do you have any people in your life that you feel genuinely jealous or covetous of their lives?
That I'm jealous of their lives? Occasionally I'm jealous of one friend because she's done so well in an industry, in her career, so well in an industry that's so competitive. And there's a couple friends who have really great marriages and relationships. And I guess I am jealous. I don't think I'm like jealous where I can't, be around them. They're still my friends. But.
And have you, or would you maybe, I should ask you, or have you, ever take advantage of a person to forward your cause or get your needs met?
Of course. Yeah. I think when you say take advantage, I feel like it sounds like, haha, they didn't know I was doing it. But I'm pretty transparent. I go, hey, do you know that person? Can you email them for me?
Okay.
I would like to meet them. Let's do it. So yeah, I do that.
Has it ever happened in a way that where someone's like, oh, here comes Kyle taking...
Oh, God,
no, so you're...
hope not,
okay,
no.
all right. Okay.
And if someone watched that and I have done that, tell me, because I don't think that's the case at all. Yeah.
So how do you, none of us are perfect. We all have parts of ourselves that we're not fond of.
Yeah.
How do you manage that part of yourself?
Well, I go to therapy.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I read a lot. I try to be as honest with myself as I am with everybody else. And there's also a point of just knowing that I'm not perfect.
Right.
Ever. And you're never going to get to a place where you're like, and I'm done. Self-improvement over. And so I think that's how I manage it.
What's your favorite part of yourself, your favorite aspect of yourself?
Probably my ability to have a relentless pursuit on whatever my target is.
Okay.
Whether that's a career, getting my dog to do what she needs to do, anything. Finances, relationships, friendships, family. Once I narrow in on something, then that's it.
Listen, after this conversation, you do not have narcissistic
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Oh God.
I know you were
Could
hoping.
you imagine? Okay.
That would have been, but trust me, I've done interviews with people in the media where I'm like, ooh, absolutely. If I got to do this with them, I don't think it would be quite different. Listen, you brought up some interesting issues that I poked at. One was that sort of that emotionality. You're like, I can't always bring it. You own that. I can't always bring it. And that if that person does call me 53 times, there's a point at which I'm done. That could be experienced by another person as a lack of empathy or a coldness. That was probably the only little red flag that popped up a little bit for me. I would say to you, therapeutically and clinically, be mindful of that aspect of yourself, that there are times when you may not have the emotional bandwidth to take something on, but a human relationship is a reciprocal space, and that there are times that people are going to expect you to maybe kind of be bigger than that emotional space. It would be exhausting for you on a daily basis. I don't think you should be a therapist. I don't think that would play upon your strengths, to be honest with you. No, it wouldn't. Yeah. But I do think that, it could, somebody who is, if you love someone and they're going through a hard time, they may need more of that space from you. And like I'd say, so much of how narcissism is addressed, if we're addressing it clinically, is mindfulness. And every one of us can bring mindfulness into our lives. You're not even narcissistic. We look at narcissism as a holistic
Wait, now hold
pattern.
on. You said I'm not even narcissistic?
Yeah, not really, no. The closest you got was like that little bit, that emotional, kind of clipness, as you called it.
Maybe I should have been more. I feel like I need to be a little narcissistic
listen,
to be like...
You, if I was going to sit here and dissect you, sure, could I say there was one or two things that you said that was like, superficial? Like, how often do you, are you big into stuff? Do you care about your whole, what you wear and what you drive and all of that?
I don't have a car, and I don't think I've bought a piece of clothing in forever.
It is so. But if a person had a phenomenally great car, it doesn't mean they're not empathic. We look at it holistically. You're telling me that your measure of success is to get meaning and purpose from your work.
Yeah.
That's actually sort of the opposite of narcissism. And in fact, when we work with narcissistic clients, one of the things we try to do is meaning and purpose focused work, thinking that if we can bubble that up to the surface, it might help sort of address some of that emptiness and that insecurity. I hear that you're able to be strong in the face of meaningful criticism, and that, when the criticism comes from a place where you're like, seriously, you have no place saying this, you have a very normal kind of a reaction back to that. If your ratio is more like 20-80, like 80% of the time I can't tolerate criticism, that would give me pause.
Yeah.
You're not talking about a superficial world. You're talking about when you do fall into a loving relationship, that you want it to be where you both are healthy and growing together. Not that I need a hot partner kind of thing.
If I were watching this, I would go, well, yeah, he just talked to the narcissist expert for 5 hours and then did a therapy session, so he's just going to deliver the answers to make him not a narcissist. I can tell everybody I was very honest. It's one of my weaknesses and strengths. But I mean, is there anything that you can add to? Did this feel like a valid session to you? Or did you feel like I was putting on a show?
Here's the thing. When we're looking at something like narcissism or narcissistic personality, it's a slow burn. In reality, it could have taken us weeks or even months of sessions for these patterns to come clear. I've worked with clients, it took me 6 to 9 months for me to really see like, oh, now I know exactly what I'm dealing with. You can get some of the superficial narcissism at a dinner party, but the real depth work to get this, that could take a long time. I know you. I had that advantage, Kyle. I've been working with you for months. So, I know enough about you, but
I could be lying.
You could be lying.
I could be lying.
And anyone could be lying in therapy. And, you could, listen, you're in an industry that celebrates superficial, validation-seeking stuff. And you do like being on this side of the camera. And maybe any of us that want to be on this side of the camera need to take a good hard look inside and say, why is that? Why is it more important for us to be on this side than that side? Because those are absolutely equal roles to me. So there is some self-examination that needs to happen there. I would, over the course of longer term therapy, we'd look at how do you intersect in your relationships. Maybe this pattern of low emotionality is actually something we do need to be more concerned about. And as I got to know more about you and saw how it surfaced with family, with friends, with partners, with coworkers, I might start to see a pattern there that's not just low emotionality. Maybe it would evidence as lack of empathy. So this is something that we would have to continue to kind of pull up. But you certainly didn't come in here kind of arrogant and brash. You're willing to put yourself out there in this kind of a platform. So right out the gate, there's a transparency. You use that word a lot. I don't know that many narcissists use the word transparency unless it's a buzzword. Yeah. But you do raise an important point. Narcissists can be tricky.
Last thing, because I know we're going a little long. Can you give me maybe 2? Because my inability to be as emotionally available as people want me to be has hurt me.
Yeah, I bet it has.
And it's something that if I want to have a successful relationship in the future, I'm going to need to figure out.
Need it.
So can you give me like 2 things that I can do to practice that now while I'm not in a relationship?
Listen to people in situations where it's not as high stakes. In a relationship, it's higher stakes. But don't be that person who's like, oh, this stupid person on an airplane is telling me their story.
I am so like that.
Oh, yeah,
As soon as someone starts talking to me on an airplane, I'm like, I gotta go. Leave me alone.
Practice it a little bit. Do it with friends you actually like. Also, listen to friends starts telling you their emotional stuff. Say, oh man, watch those reactions. Because for some people for whom sharing emotional stuff may not be easy, and they see you going like this, that might be enough to make them more reluctant to share in that space. So you've got to watch your nonverbals. You have to practice it. I mean, it's in order to love people, we sometimes have to do things that don't always feel comfortable for us, because that's love. To really be there for people and hear them and give richness and validation to their stories by hearing them with an open heart.
That's so good. Mind. I can do that though. I literally can practice this with people. Because right now you're so right. I avoid it at all costs because I'm like, oh, this isn't important, this isn't important, this isn't important. So I'm not practicing it. So how would I be able to do it when it matters?
Exactly.
Not that it doesn't matter now, but when it matters in my relationship.
I mean, it could be like a friend kind of yammering on about some bad date
and I could put my phone away and just go, you need to unload and I will listen.
And don't be, you don't need to be like, all like, trippy and all that. Like really just, lie back in the sofa and hear it. put that phone away, be present with it. Don't let other people's emotions be a place of fear for you. Because they're not asking you to take them. It's not like they're trying to unload cargo on you. They're just they want the simple act of another human being listening to them, because that's really where a relationship happens. Listen, more days than not, the only thing a partner and two partners might talk about is who's taking the car this morning and did you remember to get the milk? Not every day is a big ticket day in a relationship. But when those big ticket days happen, those are the bridges that carry the relationship to the next level. And that's where narcissistic people can't go. So while I'm not seeing those patterns for you, I do think practice it, because being there for another person emotionally is a practice skill. And in our technologically soaked world, people are not good at being there for other people. They're so distracted. They're like fondling their phones. Put it away. Look at that person. Be present with them. Stop doing your grocery list in your mind and be in the room.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This was so good for me.
I hope so. And hopefully it'll be good for other people you meet.
It will be.
Friends, loved ones, and hopefully, a partner, or even when you're dating, this create a healthier space. And if you notice this pattern in someone else who can't be with your emotional space at all, then that's also a red flag for you. But listen, you don't seem like Mr. Narcissism. You're, given that you're in this industry, you live in LA, you're young, you're, all the things that kind of are the flame under that pot kind of thing. It doesn't seem to be happening. You have a holistic, healthy sense of yourself. Remember, you have a solid sense of yourself. The rest emanates from that. And so
I believe
just
that.
Open up that heart a little bit more.
And my future spouse thanks you.
I hope so.
I'll be a much better listener by then. Thank you guys for watching this simulated therapy session with myself and Dr. Ramani. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you just saw, then why not subscribe? Click right here for new episodes and new series every week. And to access exclusive mental health videos that we only release at MedCircle.com, check out the links below.